Fellow entrepreneurs and risk takers,
Are you ready for a show where you'll hear real,
behind-the-scenes stories from real business owners?
Look no further, Uncensored Entrepreneurs.
the show where we bring you the real, raw, and unplugged version of entrepreneurship.
there's no sugarcoating, no filters, just the vulnerable truth about the ups and downs of running a business,
Being a parent, and how to move through all of those phases of your life while building something of significance.
From early mornings to late nights, from triumphs to setbacks, we cover it all.
So sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and get ready to hear the truth about what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur.
Welcome.
welcome,
Welcome to the Uncensored Entrepreneurs.
I love our intro. I just go, oh,
There's
Yeah.
us.
to Uncensored Entrepreneurs. I'm Tita Torres, one of your co-hosts. It is June 29th.
Yeah. That was,
I was like, wait, what day is it?
yeah.
It's gone. Like, I feel like this year has gone by super, super fast.
Oh man, I mean, we're
Is it
talking
just me?
6 months left, right? So I mean, we're
Like,
right
we
at
are
the
literally
halfway
6
point.
months
It's
away
crazy.
from the end of the year.
Yeah.
We are halfway, and it's only 6 months until Christmas. We're 6 months away to the end of the year until 2024 hits. Like, what have you guys done this year that you're like, okay, we're halfway through the year, and I've got this, and this done. I'm like, I gotta get this and this and this and this done. Nothing done.
Yeah,
It's all
that's-
about the pace, Tina. It's all about
Right?
the pace, right?
it is.
Well, it probably doesn't help that I like stay poolside most of the time.
It's a marathon. It's not a sprint, you know. So just keep going.
Right?
So, anyways, I mean, here it is. I took the advice of the intro. I've got my coffee, right? Which, by the way, we'll have to maybe in the next couple of months we'll have some special merch, put out some of that stuff. I mean, who doesn't want a Star Cod signature autographed T-shirt, right?
Right?
So.
Totally.
But anyways, I'm looking forward to today. And so, Christina, you want to talk a little bit about, because we're always throwing out ideas, right? And we're always just kind of brainstorming on things that apply to us. But you had a great topic because of some things that you have coming up in the near future. So you want to kind of throw out today's topic.
Yeah, Robert, thank you so much. First of all, I'm so grateful to have a bunch of co-hosts that are amazingly supportive in business. If you don't have a group of buddies that support you no matter what, you need to find them and keep them close, okay? And so today, I'm really excited to talk about the topic today, because we throw these topics out all the time, and I think this is a really important one for business owners. And so today we're going to talk about building a life on your terms, because everybody has a different definition of success. Everybody has a different family dynamic. Everybody has different goals and dreams and what they see as their dream lifestyle, because what my dream lifestyle might be different than your dream lifestyle, might be different than Stars or Robert's or Tina's. But when you're an entrepreneur, you have this incredible opportunity to build a life on your terms. And it's just a different way of thinking, because a lot of people will go and think, okay, I have stability in a job. I'll work a 9-to-5 job. I know what I get paid every 2 weeks. I've got healthcare and a pension, a 401k, or whatever you got going on, right, for your retirement. So I've got things covered. I'm doing the right thing. And although you don't have that safety net in entrepreneurship, we work just as hard to create our freedom in lifestyle. Right? We may work 8 to 10 hour days. We sometimes might work 16-hour days if we're busy launching something or working on something really important. But what does life on your terms mean to you? That's what I want to ask the audience today. And I want to ask you guys, what is life on your terms? Why is it so important for you to be an entrepreneur so that you can have a life that is built on your terms?
Years and years ago, somebody asked me that. And I said that I wanted to live a life the way I want to live it, how I want to live it, when I want to live it, and how much I want to live it in.
Right.
I want to be able to go and come as I please. I want to be able to take vacations as I want to, or
Yep.
work on vacation. If my husband and I are wanting to, not that I'm married, but my husband and I are wanting to go on vacay,
Wow, this relationship is going very well. Tina.
Yeah.
very fast.
Since last week.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, no.
But that's true. That is true, Tina.
So
Yeah.
I want to be able to say, you know what, let's go on vacation for 10 days, and I can take my my business with me if I need to, or I can have my team run it for me. And if I wanted to live it on my way, if I wanted to go to Greece and Santorini and all those places, I want to go the way I want to go. I want to go first class. I want to do that. I want to be able to live life on my terms, the way I wanted to do it.
But not in the allotted, like, most people start with 2 weeks vacation, 2 weeks holidays, right? They have to book a year in advance. I remember my mom
get approved before they go.
I remember my mom working in home care, and she worked in home care for 17 years. And you'd think that you'd build up seniority, but there were many Christmases, many Easters she was not at because she was working, and she would have to pick her holidays like a year in advance. I'm like, how do you even know what you want to do a year? And like, you know, so what about you, Robert or Star? Like, how have you built this life on your terms?
Well, for me,
first, go ahead, Star.
Life on my terms now is about my kids. And once my firstborn turned 1, that's exactly when I decided that I was going to resign. Well, I was working towards resigning from corporate, but that's when I took that leap. But I have to tell you, sitting in an office from 9 to 5 and staring at that clock all day, I used to be so like, oh my God, I want to get out of here. It's like being in jail or prison for me anyways.
You can go to the bathroom at this time. You can leave for lunch at this time, and you can leave at this time, but you have to stay in this cubicle. So it is like prison.
And that's how I felt, like very trapped. And and I tell people my last corporate job, I did have way more flexibility because I was in the field and working from home, but still it's like, what's my next step from there? I was kind of stuck, right? Yeah. But ultimately, life on my terms is being able to provide financially for my family, for my kids, and really give them the life that I didn't have and really grow up in a better neighborhood. They're able to go to Christian schools. And again, everybody said that they have their own, what they want for their lives. But for me, it was like, okay, I want my kids to go to Christian private school. I want to be able to not have them feel what it's like to struggle or live in a neighborhood where there's gun violence and drugs, and possibly grow up to be in gangs themselves if they grew up in that environment, in that community.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not a big ask. Like, this is what I'm hoping for, and this is what I'm willing to work for. But really, that's reality. This is what you're willing to work for, because at your core values, at your most basic instinct, that's what you want for your kids.
Yeah.
Right? It's interesting that right now, just by posing and throwing that question out, each one of you have talked about on my own terms, living a life like based on where I want to be, what do I want to do, control of time. Essentially, it all boils down to like that control of time. And so, you can share more time with your loved ones, serving others, maybe doing nothing, just having some freedom of just breathing, right? Feeling like you're not captive or chained to a desk, as some of you described. And so I think that's very interesting, right? Like if there's people out there listening right now, or even those that watch the replay later, that really want to like tune in and share some of that with us. I find that interesting because when I think back through my entrepreneurial journey, and it goes way back, when I was, actually was ready way back. But it was even before high school, right? I mean, I had a mentor that really inspired me. It was my grandfather. Really inspired me to think bigger about life in general. And back then at those times, like nobody was thinking about those things. As a matter of fact, we always talk about it. And I'm going to talk about money just for a second, because we've been talking about all these other things. So way back then, for me, it was just like, oh man, I want stuff, right? I want lifestyle. I want things. And that's what so many people are attracted to like today. And the reason why they're setting themselves up most of the time, right, statistically speaking, for failure is because they're just so hung up on that. And they don't realize like the end game is, why do you want those things? Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's just to impress people, I'm going to tell you it's a hard journey. Okay. But if you want those things so that you can, as everyone has stated here, spend more time at home, have some freedom, things of that nature, then that journey, you can close that gap, right? Because it's your why, you're building this big presence in like your target, your goal. And so early stages, that's all I wanted. And I achieved it. However, it was a hard run. Back then, again, and I've talked about this before, I was working 70, 75 hours a week to achieve that goal. And it was all out. I was the first one to my brick and mortar business. I was the last one to leave. And sometimes that meant getting there at 8 a.m. and not leaving until 8 a.m. the following morning. I've even slept under my desk. And so
we'll just call you Elon. We'll call you Elon.
Right. But here's the thing. Was I an entrepreneur? Absolutely. The difference is, was I creating like freedom and a lifestyle that I could enjoy? Absolutely not. I didn't take vacation for the 10 years that I ran that business.
Was this during your first set of kids?
It was. Yeah, it was. And so
between your first set of kids and your set of kids now, so
right.
your first set of kids, you were never home, always working.
Totally different. Now I'm like,
you're the coach.
I'm running a business. I'm running, yeah, but I'm also dropping the kids off. I'm throwing lunches together, right? I'm going to their events. And so it's totally different now. But what I've realized is like that in itself is what really matters. At the end of the day, I didn't see it back then, but I really, really embrace and see it now. And it's all about that time. So when we talked about this, living your life on your terms, and we also talked about some ideas about if we wanted to throw out the idea of like 10Xing, because it's a term that everyone uses. How do you 10X your business? How do you 3X it, 5X it? How do you increase life? We think monetarily, which still is a product of this, but you can 10X time. You can 10X life. You can 10X freedom. Quite honestly, you can 10X anything, even your own faith, if you will, or your own religious aptitude or time to just meditate. Like 10X is broad. So I really want to throw that out to everyone. So I'm glad that you brought that up right off the bat, Christina, is that it's not just about money. Although it gives you the ability to not reach a ceiling, right? And that's what a 9-to-5 job does. It holds you down. And once you reach a certain expectation, you're never going to really build past that.
I don't know if you guys remember, but the JOB, what did we used to call the JOB? Just over broke.
Yeah.
That's what we're set up for. That's what we're set up for. I was running numbers. I was listening to Kevin O'Leary did a little spoof on Reels, and he talked about Canadians really only getting 30% on the dollar because we're so overtaxed, right? And like that's another reason like you want to learn how to create wealth. But I think that redefining luxury is what we need to do, is because we've been brought up in this like consumer driven world where like, does it really matter if you drive a nicer car than your neighbor if you get from point A to point B? It doesn't. None of that stuff matters. And I think that maybe we have even a different perspective, because when we sold our place in Canada and moved down here, we got rid of 90% of our belongings. Like we threw them out, or we
condoed her whole house.
We got rid of everything. And it just made me realize we can live with so much. That is not the important thing in life. We have to redefine what luxury is. And I believe that luxury is time freedom. I believe that luxury is financial freedom. I believe that if you can live a life where you don't have to check your bank account, you get up in the morning and you live it, like you guys all talk about like how you are with your kids making lunches and driving them to school and doing all.
I don't have that issue right now. Get up whenever I want to and take a shower. I just don't.
We all look forward to that next chapter at some years from now.
Actually, it's a sweet, bitter thing, because I was so excited about my kids leaving. Like, oh my God, I can't wait for you to leave. And then they're all left, and then I'm like, I don't have nobody here to take care of.
It's a different thing now, and now you have to prioritize what's important to you. And again, like what I love about entrepreneurship is that it gives us these pieces of our life that we get to put together. And I think that if you can win in all areas of your life, like Robert said, it's not just about money, making money. That creates freedom. That gives you options. But if you're working 80, 90 hours a week and you're losing in your marriage and your family, then it doesn't fucking matter. Yeah. No, it's not freedom.
Absolutely.
Right?
For some out there, like if you really just live this selfish life, then maybe risking it all is
maybe they don't want to go home.
Is your intention, right? But I have found that has never served me, even in my younger years when I was pompous and full of it, right? I've realized and adopted that, man, that wasn't what mattered to me. And let me tell you how I know that. I know this because it was all taken away, and it's been taken away multiple times throughout my life, meaning that this hero's journey.
The key is when it's taken away. What is it, that one thing that you like oh, I wish I would have done this differently.
Oh, totally, totally. And no one laying on their deathbed, right, ever says, "Man, I wish I would have worked harder." You know,
Or made more
I wish
money.
I'd worked more hours. It's all the other things. It's all that underlining thing that we say that we.
I wish I would have spent more time with my kids. I wish I would have went further. I wish I would have traveled more. Nobody says, I wish I would have made more money and I wish I would have worked more and harder. No.
Right.
Definitely.
Right.
But in the same sense, like there are challenges that come with being an entrepreneur and a parent, right? There are challenges that you often have to multitask and balance. You know, 2 seconds before we went live, Izzy's here arguing with me because she wants a new app on her iPad, and then she knows she only gets one new app a month. And she's like, yeah, but it's the 30th tomorrow, Mom. It's the 30th tomorrow.
Stickler. What?
Oh, man.
That's it.
No, I get it, Christina. That's funny. I'm laughing because that's so relatable. By the way,
But you know,
for
but
me,
you
it's
know what I mean, right? Yeah.
For me, it's always the compromise is always like you have to delete an app before I add an app
That's part of it. That's part
right.
of it.
And so that's a big deal. Like what? And what do you mean I have to delete something in order to add something?
Yeah, I didn't have that problem. We didn't have to do screen time.
Yeah, we didn't worry about it. We threw sticks and stones
Yeah,
at each other.
like,
That's what we did.
Don't come back out. Don't come back in the house until the street lights come on. Type of
Cowboys want points. Can we have Robux, Mom? They want Robux, which is digital currency for their
Yeah, that's the big trend, right? So yeah.
But the thing is, we can't raise our kids that way, right? We can't raise them the way that we were raised because we live in a different world.
Mm.
Sorry, Star, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to talk about the 10x in your income, and some of the ways that I've gone about doing that is by adding additional streams of income to the business, but that does not always work. And so I wanted to speak on that because we're talking about living life on your terms, right? And being happy and having peace and that time freedom. So we added lash salons inside of my hair stores so that, you know, now I have more streams of income, which was great financially. But I went from managing 4 to 6 employees at any given time to over 20.
Wow, yeah.
A salon.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. So when COVID hit, you know, obviously we had to shut down the locations for a bit. And there was this whole thing with unemployment. And a lot of the lash artists, they did not want to return to work. There was not that urgency, but it's actually a blessing in disguise because thinking back on it now, I did not reopen that aspect of the business. I was really overwhelmed. I was so stressed out. I was like dealing with people arguing and all of the stuff that I didn't deal with before was just like really, really too much. And it wasn't worth the profit that I was making from that side of the business.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy that you brought that up. So I got to tell you this, and I came to the same conclusion. I just want you to know. Because I worked in the salon industry for years. I was a hairstylist for 11 years, and I left and I started my own salon, but I worked out of my home. It was just me. And then I hired a team of about 20 to do on-site weddings. So we specialized in weddings outside of my house, and they worked in different salons. They contracted, but I had a friend at the same time go start his own 8-chair salon because he wanted the prestige of having a salon, all that kind of stuff. So I would work 4 days a week. He would work 7 days a week, covering other people's shifts, dealing with all the headache of the salon, had way more costs than I had, didn't have the write-offs that I had at home. And I'd end up making more money in 4 days a week by myself than the salon that he had to run. Now, granted, he had a very successful salon. He paid off all of his debt. He did very well, but he had all of these other things to worry about. And so you have to manage like your freedom in that like, okay, it may seem like this is what I want to do. Maybe my ego is taking me in this direction, but is it actually what I want? Like that prestige and success, is that actually what I want? Or can I work smarter over here and leverage my time and get other people to work with me and then move forward in a different direction that makes me the same amount of money or even a little bit more?
You know, Robert and I were just talking before we jumped on about creating courses and doing all these different things, creating different income streams. Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest things that I learned, I used to always want just high ticket sales, high ticket. But then it takes all of your time. So I was like, okay, let's create a group coaching program where I can do group coaching. And you know what? Let's create an evergreen course that I can just sell on the side where it's just evergreen and I'm just making money like that. And then I want to do affiliate marketing where you just, you know, create money doing that and selling other people's products. And you don't have to create all the products and the funnels and all that kind of stuff. And then I said, you know what? Royalties are the best thing because when you get royalties for the rest of your life. Right. So having all of those income streams is helping you work smarter and not harder, like Christina said.
Yeah, that's true. And by the way, again, if you're tuning in at any point in time, or just talking about the subject in general, it isn't always right. Creating this lifestyle, when we talk about it, we've said before, the journey isn't always smooth, and it's always you kind of the ebbs and flows. You're constantly learning. You're constantly kind of pivoting and tweaking. I talked about it last week. The mission doesn't change, but the goals do along the way. And one of my big lessons learned, and I'll be real transparent, I was talking to Tina about this, was about 2 months ago, 3 days spent on stage, and I ended up with 53 booked appointments, right? Super excited, right? Seems like a big achievement, big goal. It's what most coaches want. Yep. I realized they weren't qualified. And so I'm not saying by any means.
I've been through that.
By no means. Yeah, by no means am I belittling the opportunity to get to meet individuals, right? I think there's opportunities to collaborate in the future, but because they weren't qualified, what happened was my time. 53 appointments, by the way, took me 6 weeks to complete just throughout my entire schedule. Yeah. And typically that 30-minute initial consultation, as always, because I'm a big server, it's another thing that I'm trying to kind of reel back in, is that I realize those 30 minutes turned into 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, depending on your flexibility and your time, because you want to serve, you want to help someone. And at the end of the day, I'm always looking at kind of like that as the end result versus my time, money, etc. So long story short, 53 appointments, $2,000. $2,000 is what was earned.
It just made me feel so much better.
but I'm sharing, right? But I'm sharing that because that's reality. The reality is that if there's other fundamentals, things that we can teach you throughout time too, things that we've learned is that qualification, understanding who your audience is. All of these things are going to help you not only 10x your business, going to help you live your life on your own terms, because if you can qualify the people that you're truly wanting to serve, then your time won't be, and again, I hate using the word wasted, but it won't be mitigated, right? You'll actually be able to focus on those and still pay the bills. And so anyway, I just wanted to share that's the reality. And by all means, I love talking to people. I love having and building relationships. I always believe it's relationships over transactions. Some of my own clients that have spent no more than $1,000 with me.
I already know what Christina's doing. She's looking for the book that she's about to.
But they have referred me.
That she's about to let everybody know what to read, so she can.
Oh yeah, but I was going to say, like, that $1,000 client or that $500 client, they may refer you a $100,000 client in the future. So by all means, I mean,
that is true. It
matters. People matter. But I just wanted to share that. So
Robert, some of those folks are going to come back and buy from you for sure. It's happened to me so many times where they were not qualified, or maybe they didn't have the financial resources. And the next thing you know, 6 months later, they're investing in your program.
Exactly.
So,
I really appreciate that.
You definitely have to build relationships, and not only build relationships, but enjoy that time where they're sending people you. I mean, I have several people who have never ever bought one thing from me, but refer people to me like crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of the point. That's the point, right? Is building those relations. I'm looking, so just so that you guys know, I have sticky notes on my wall of names of every client that I have, you know, of people, like, because I'm constantly thinking of like ideas for them. So I'm constantly focusing on them. And the reason I looked up is because I did a workshop and I made the same fatal error as Robert, and I didn't differentiate between a consulting and a connection call. And so I had 72 connection calls, which took me just as long as you, Robert, to get through. I couldn't get through fast enough. A lot of not qualified people. And I think I did 20 grand out of that. So like not much better than I should have done 350 probably out of that. And in the process, I just want you to know, I'm in the process of hiring an appointment setter. So that they pre-qualify the leads.
I just asked them, do you have a sales team for you?
We're just talking about that. We're talking about questionnaires even, or anything you can do to just kind of preemptively qualify, because there's those individuals, when you say high ticket even, when you say the word high ticket, there's those that immediately think $500 is high ticket.
Yeah.
Like to them personally, $500 is a major, major, major expense. And then there's those like when someone says to me high ticket coaching, I'm usually like, what's this going to cost me? $25,000, $30,000?
Yeah, exactly.
When I think of,
I immediately go to like 20, 30, 40 grand when
high ticket. But it's because we have a business brain and we realize that there are people out there that are charging that for coaching. If they've never been in that space or whatever, then they don't know that that's what it costs. And a lot of times people are shocked. Oh my God, you charge $10,000 for a year-long program. Well, yeah, if I can show you exactly how to make $100,000, that's 10%. Like you're going to be making $10,000 a month if you apply what I teach you.
Right.
And so often we don't have the proper conversations up front. That was also a lesson for me too, by the way. Like it was a lesson in how to set expectations better for people so that they knew what they were going to get and they saw value in it instead of like sticker shock all the time. But I think that in that process, like we all learn through this and there are challenging times. Like I'm going to be real with you. This morning, I had tears in my eyes and I said to my husband, like, why is it so hard right now? Like, we're waiting on our house. It's been delayed. Like, I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Like, we've been trying to like move some money into crypto and that's getting more and more difficult because of the powers that be, all of these little, we're getting hit. We're like the natural supplement industry is under attack in Canada. And like, people don't realize how serious this is, right?
Everything.
They don't, I feel like we're getting hit in all angles. And I was like, why is this so hard? And then I said to him, the first thing I said after I came out of my tears and wiped them away was like, at least we get to create what we want and we can pivot on a dime. There are so many people out there losing their jobs right now, their security that they thought that they had. And so at least we have the opportunity to do that.
Wow. So true. I want to address the stalker that we have in the room. Kelly Wall says, you never know.
Oh, I don't know who she is, but
she's been following me around like crazy.
She's been following me around for the last 15 years, like a little puppy dog.
Yeah. But she says you never know who you're going to reach through word of mouth. And that is that is absolutely so true. How often, and this just happened to her the other day, how often do you think, man, no one looks at my content? No one sees this. No one does that. But then all of a sudden you run into somebody like physically at a store or wherever, and they're like, oh, XYZ. And they list everything about your life, right?
I've been watching this and this and this.
Yeah.
And
so people are watching. People are constantly, if you put yourself out there, people are continuously watching. And here's the thing. In many cases, there's people that are interested in what you're doing. They're watching your lifestyle moves. They're interested in having or obtaining. Maybe they're aligned with some of those things, but they're not sure yet when to make that move. So they're just kind of sitting back there, right, in silence. And so, always just continue to push forward with those things. And Christina, oh man, there was something I was going to bring up on that point. What was the last thing you brought up? I'm sorry, because there was something else I was going to say.
No, I'm just saying that like it's hard always, like that we're getting hit by all different angles, and it's hard, but we get to choose.
Yes. And actually, and I was thinking about that in regards to like that 9 to 5, right? When you're working a 9 to 5, what it does is it kind of enables you. Your mind continuously works on what you want, but it stops you. It prevents you from taking action in many cases because you have good intentions. How many of us have all had a 9 to 5, right? We most of us have. Maybe I don't want to speak for everyone, but then I know I built my business around a 9 to 5 initially years ago. And so, but what happens is you have these intentions, you get home and you go, I'm tired. I just worked 8-9 hours, right? Like I can't put the energy into what it is I want to do. And so we typically, we either get absorbed by family, we get absorbed by friends, or we get absorbed by Netflix. Like those things kind of just happen in life. And so one little thing, it was just made me think of it when you were talking about that. One thing I do want to throw out there, and I have a lot of books. I've been on this journey where in the beginning I was wanting to read a book a week. This year it was kind of one of my resolutions, if you will, and that I already broke it. I broke it, right, because of just lifestyle. However, I'm still pushing forward. So in many cases, every 2-3 weeks, I'll have a book finished. And for me, it's just more of this journey. And I'm going back through some of the books that inspired me from day one, like a long time ago in this journey. One book I do want to bring up, because it's kind of triggered when you said that, Christina, was, and there's a reason why. There's this book called Never Eat Alone, right? Keith Rudd. It's an old book. I actually went to the launch in 2004 or 5.
Dang, way old. No, I'm just kidding.
What's that?
Tina.
No.
Almost when I graduated.
When you were all wearing diapers. No, I was just kidding.
I'm
So,
kidding.
but what I was going to say about
I'm the same age as you. These other girls are way younger than us.
but the reason why I wanted to bring it up was Never Eat Alone. What the fundamental of the book is it means like never waste a moment, never waste time. And so what I realized, and it really helped me instrumentally in my 9 to 5. In fact, it allowed me to achieve major sales records, leadership records within the corporation I was with at the time, is because it said that in most cases we say we don't have time, right? And this is so that while living terms on your life on your own terms, how to 10x your business, even when you're still in that 9 to 5, trying to figure things out, never let a time be wasted. And so one of the things it talks about is at lunch, what do? Right? Most of us, if we even are lucky to get an hour lunch, we sit there and we eat lunch. But what are you doing with that time? So I started to schedule lunches with individuals, right? Hey, let's go grab a cup of coffee. Let's go do this. And in many cases, it's crazy, but I would have multiple cups of coffee a day because I would meet with so many people saying, let's sit down and have a cup of coffee, right? So I had to start changing the things I was drinking.
Just buzzing around.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so it was really caffeine is what made me successful. I'm not kidding. But Never Eat Alone.
Successful is drinking 8 cups of coffee a day.
Yeah, but Never Eat Alone. I just love that concept. And so I just kind of wanted to throw it out there again. It's a perfect reminder. And in that, oh my goodness, the fact that number one, I valued people's time, and I would say, hey, you know what? Let's meet for lunch. And sometimes because of, maybe I was broke back then, or maybe I didn't have the money to continuously meet people and have these high-end coffees and dinners and lunches. But I would sit there, right? So I could have like a salad or a bagel, and we would talk about all kinds of things. How can I help you? How can you help me? How can we serve one another? And I was talking about these things like way back, right? We were talking 2004, 2005, when people really weren't talking about how to build relationships that way.
And there was no online presence at all.
Right. There was zero online. And so it had to be like that. That was social media, face to face. But I love that. And by the way, you can still do that today in the digital world. Let's hop on a Zoom at lunchtime.
You can do a virtual coffee.
Yeah, I know you're busy. I'm busy. I'm working a 9 to 5 or whatever it may be. But if you're available at lunch, like let's get on for 15, 20, 30 minutes. And let's just kind of hash out some things and just talk. And when you do that, you're building credibility. You're serving one another in a big way, and you'll build the relationships that actually help you pivot into the 10xing, living your life on your own terms in the future. So anyway, I wanted to throw that out there.
5 months ago, you guys know my story. I lost everything, lost my job, got a divorce, all that kind of stuff. Most of it was good. But losing my job, I thought was like the end of my world. That was my money. That was my bread and butter. And I was working my business at the time. So I was divorcing. I already gave him all the business. So I was redoing my business, relaunching my business. But it wasn't until I lost that job that one of my friends, and I still remember to this day, he calls me and I was all crying. And he was like, Tina Marie. He used to call me Tina Marie. He'd be like, you would have never left this job if you wouldn't have gotten fired.
Yep.
You were always too good for this job, and we all knew it. And now you have time to build your business. And I took that and I was like, And I was able to then rebrand and rebuild my business. Now, it did take me time. It took me, about a year and a half or whatever. Yeah. But I ended up making that 6 figures back. But I was working 4 or 5 days a week.
Yes.
But still, I was doing it on their terms in that cubicle. When I wanted to go to home, when I had to go to work, when I can go to lunch, when I could go, everything. And it was such a toxic environment. I was so relieved to get out of there and be able to start my own business.
Yeah, absolutely. It took that push, right?
Yes.
And it is about taking risk, breaking the cycle. Sometimes none of us will ever take risk unless we're actually forced into it.
Exactly.
Yep.
Unfortunately. Yep. But I mean, but each one of us has that story to share. I mean, Star, you just shared about, your brick and mortar, and Christina, you had to move to an entirely different country, right?
Bit of a risk.
And like that's the thing. Yeah, and Tina and I, we've had to pivot and even change our lives, like everything to do with marriage and children and just the entire thing. That's a huge pivot. But by doing that, it really makes you, number one, it motivates you immediately because it's in your face, right? But when you start to embrace it, you realize like, yeah, this was meant to be. There's a reason for these adversities. There's a reason for the storm that I'm going through.
Yeah, always.
You have to change that mindset about yourself. You have to have that like little click, like that 9 to 5 is going to get you money right now, but your business is going to get you money for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You do have to have that vision. And I think that so often it's hard to switch back from an employee mindset, which by the way, we've all been conditioned to live, right?
Yes.
It's hard to switch
from day one.
Yeah.
Graduate high school, you're going to go to college for 4 years, you're going to get a good job, you're going to retire when you're 65, you're going to collect your $1,500 Social Security, and then you're going to die. Like, well, and that's to live like that.
Whoa,
it's the dream that we've been sold. It's the dream that we've been sold. And by the way, some people do love that. Like, they're obviously not watching The Uncensored Entrepreneur, but some people do love that life. They go to work, they unplug when it's off, and then they don't have to think about it for the weekend, and then they go back to work on Monday, and that's a routine for them. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you're satisfied with. But if you're sitting there like Star, staring at the wall, looking at the clock, being like, when am I done? Probably meant to do something else, right? And the only person that's going to change that is you. I love, Robert, that you brought up never eat alone. It's really interesting because our life has been so public the last while. I get messages all the time for people, and like maybe I'm screwing myself right now, but I get messages for people all the time that have come to Cabo, and they're like, hey, what are you doing? Where should we eat? Do you want to go for dinner? Do you want to go for lunch? And so like Ryan and I have met with, and I won't say random because we've had some really amazing connections. Tiffany, who I introduced you to, Tiffany Lee, who's going to write a book, she literally said, what do I have to lose? I'm just going to reach out to her and ask her if I can go for lunch. Yeah. And so we went for lunch and we got to know these people and got to know their story. Like, if you think people are boring, you're a bad listener. Yeah. If you want to go for lunch and you like start learning about people and you realize like how many amazing human beings are out there. We just met Steve and his wife, Haley. They're up in Utah. They opened a wellness clinic. And like, how can we support you in that? Do you want to live down here? What are you looking, for a different lifestyle? Hey, I
want to go to Cabo just to see Christina.
Yeah. Right. But like, this is the whole point, is that when you live in alignment, you will attract the right people. That is my whole point. When you live in alignment, the right people are going to come to you, and don't deny them that piece. And the part about living life on our terms, like, let's be honest about what everyday life looks like for most people. Because I can tell you, some of my girlfriends will get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, get their kids ready for school, have their lunches made, leave at 7, drive to work 8 hours, drive home, sometimes work overtime. They're not home till 6. They make dinner, they do bath, they go to bed. And then on the weekend, they catch up on yard work, or they clean the house, or whatever it is. Laundry. Let's not even go there with laundry.
You mentioned vacations earlier. Yeah. So many people spend their 1 week or 2 weeks actually getting caught up in life. Right? Yeah. They've never actually taken an unplugged, amazing vacation, or a vacation of their dreams, because it's getting caught up in life. Like, let's paint the house. Let's do this.
Well, how many of us have went on vacation and need a vacation from our vacation?
Yeah. Well, that is true. So you know what? I love that. I love that you brought that. All of you are bringing that up, but I love that you brought up that again. That is another thing, 10xing kind of that side of your life, is having the flexibility to do things that you would never be able to do at a 9 to 5. Meaning, we're big travelers. We love travel, of course. If you've ever followed us for the last
back from Greece.
10 years of our life, I mean, we've traveled the world, and every place we've ever been, we literally either, 1, build new relationships, or 2, people we already know online, we connect with them. So I'm glad you brought that up, Christina, because anytime we're going anywhere. I mean, we were in Hawaii a few years ago, and somebody that actually I was doing digital currency with, never met them, right? They were just on a forum that we met. We had breakfast together. We collaborated, and I won't even get into the fact that when you do that, you also have some nice financial incentives. But again, the disclaimer is we are not licensed accountants, so we're not CPAs.
You know, Robert, you and I met in
We're
San
not
Diego,
giving financial advice.
right? Like,
Yeah,
Robert,
yeah.
you and I met in San Diego like 4 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We always talk
Collaborated
about
in
that.
the back of the room, like, just like, hey, what do you do? Oh, I live in North Carolina. Oh, I live in South Carolina. What?
Tina lives 2.5 hours away, and we had to meet in San Diego. I don't even know, what is that, 1,500 miles away? Who knows? But yeah, we had to meet quite far.
I think it's like 3,000 miles
Oh,
away.
maybe 3,000. It's probably, yeah, you're right. It is probably coast to coast. But the point is, I love that. I love that part, and that has very little to do with money. It has more to do with flexibility, being able to just live on your terms, to enjoy things that you would never be able to enjoy. And let's face it, since I'm on the topic of vacationing, we've been kind of sold this myth that you work really, really hard until you can retire and then live the life that you've ever wanted to live. Like go to whatever it may be, Cabo, Hawaii, the Maldives, right?
70 years old, trying to like travel, and you're like in pain and hurting. And
Right. And again, I'm not belittling anyone that's listening, but you cannot, and Kelly and I talk about this all the time, you cannot climb up to, Moon Cove in Hawaii. You cannot climb up to the very top when you're 70 years old. So do those things while you have the physical capacities to enjoy them, right?
Well, and sorry, Star, I don't want to interrupt you. I really want you to speak, but I also feel like we need to pull in vacations, the luxuries of the things that we've been able to create because we've worked really hard. Great. But you know what's really important to me? My 1 night a week date night. Whether I sneak off in the middle of an afternoon to go for lunch with my husband, right? Or we're like, hey, let's just go to the beach club for a little while. And like, you don't have to plan those things. You can live and build not just a business, but build a closer marriage, build a closer family. Like right now, I told you, like people are gone from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. So how are you supposed to come together as a family, raise your kids, be mentors to them, be role models? We talked about this last week about being an entrepreneur. You're a role model for your children because you're constantly present. And it's not just about that piece of life on my terms. I get to work when I want, I get to vacation when I want. It's like, I get to build a stronger marriage. I get to be a better parent. I get to be more present in my life and actually be cognizant of the way that I'm spending my time. And that is a gift, right? Sorry, Star, please. We talk over you sometimes.
Star.
Because I'm pivoting a bit here, but like being paralyzed by fear and staying in that 9 to 5 and then turning 60 and like, okay, now I'm going to start my business. Again, going back to that energy that Robert talked about, having the ability to travel and climb and do all these amazing things. Starting your business requires that same type of energy as well. So assessing, what are your strengths? What are your skill sets that you can actually use to bring a product or service to market now? Start doing that while you're working your 9 to 5. And then for those of you who already have a business, going back to Tina's point, okay, what are the different things that you can do to add different streams of income to your business? Just like I told you with my brick and mortar, I did do that. That didn't work out specifically, some of the ones that I did bring to market, right? But let's use the examples that Tina gave. Affiliate marketing. You can be bringing in an extra $2,000 so easily with affiliate links. And that's, pays a ton of bills in your household, right? Or for some people, a mortgage, depending on where you live at. Of course, I'm in California, so that won't apply. But
so and again, I don't want to take that away. I want you to expand on it, Star. But that is an interesting concept. I said before that 10x, if you just break it down, like the fundamentals of breaking it down. So let's say the average person is working really hard at their job for $15 or $20 an hour. I mean, I'm talking like basic level. We're not talking executive level or anything. So you're working really hard for $15, $20 an hour. And so by just 10xing 1 hour of your time. So whether it's affiliate marketing, whatever it may be, something that you could leverage a little bit of that time through other products and services, or people that have already done the effort, right? Already walked the walk. And so by doing that, now it's $200. So you've earned an extra $200 this week just by 10xing 1 hour.
Yeah.
You know what $200 a week does for most families in America? It's incredible. It's incredible that $800 extra a week is like life-changing when it comes to an extra vehicle being paid off, their mortgage or whatever it may be, or just having more, just affording food, since we all know that food itself pretty much 50x'd in the last year. But anyway, that's besides the point. But I love that. Like, if you break down that concept in itself, it's about leveraging those little things. It isn't necessarily saying, oh, I want to make $1 million. It's just, how do I earn a little extra this week?
But you also have to have that mindset in order to do so, right? Like, you have to have that mindset and say, you know what, instead of getting up at 6 o'clock and going right home, like with me, when I lost that job, I didn't have no money coming in. And so, you know what I did? And like, I'm going to be straight up. I did Instacart. I did DoorDashing. I did Uber Eats as long as I could, as much as I could. I was listening to podcasts. I was talking to people on the phone while I was doing it. Like, whatever it takes. It depends on how much you have to lose or gain in your life. It depends on how much you're going to do.
I remember when somebody first kind of described entrepreneurship to me, because so many people come into this with a employee mindset, right? And they don't realize how hard you have to work to get paid in the beginning. And so what happens with an employee is, hey, you work for money. So time versus money. So you work for 2 weeks, you get paid. You work for 2 weeks, get paid. You work for 2 weeks, get paid. And like in a year or two, maybe you'll get $1 or $2 raise, right? Like, that's the agreed upon commitment that you have for money. As an entrepreneur, it's different. You need to have such a strong vision of where you're going that you hang on to that and you do it until, because what you're going to do is you're going to work, and then get paid a little bit. And then you're going to work, and then get paid even a little bit. And you're going to go through that process probably 4 months. Okay, probably 4 months. Like Tina said, it took her 1.5 years to build this business back up. And then what's going to happen is it's going to do something crazy. It's going to go work, get paid, work, get paid, get paid, get paid, get paid, get paid, get paid, get paid,
and then work a little bit.
That's right. But you have to have that vision, and you have to understand as an entrepreneur and a visionary that you are going to work until you see the result. You're going to overcome the challenges. You're going to keep moving forward. Like this, I love working when I don't have, well, don't tell my husband this because he's like, Christina, we need to save, we need to, but I love working without a safety net. I like having money in investments. I don't like having a ton in savings or any of that. I like working like there's no other option, because I work differently in that environment. Right. Or else I'm just like, do I really have to do it? I don't know.
Right. I think we all have that mentality. You're like, you know what? Things are going so well. I don't have to work today.
Yeah.
But you know what I was going to say, when you have to work all that time, right? You're like, work, get paid, work, get paid, and get paid. I remember when I first started network marketing, like 20 years ago, I had a goal and I wanted to make this much money a month. And I would have these people coming onto my team and I'm like, how much money do you want to make? And they're like, oh, just an extra 500. I'm like, what?
But you can make millions. But you can make millions
for so many, right? I mean,
it just shows you that everybody's goal is different. Like, I just want to pay my car payment. I just want to get my kid into soccer. I was like, I want to make an extra 20 grand a month because I want to retire my husband and I want to retire. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And they're like, I just want to make an extra 500. I'm like, what?
But what I do love about that, and because you're right, there's so much more, right? If you think bigger, with no limits. But what I do love about that is if you do break it down fundamentally, Kelly and I were able to grow our teams back then when we were in affiliate marketing and network marketing, because, when you start to break down those goals, like how would you like your cell phone free every month, right? How would you like your utility bills completely paid for every single month? And so when you start to break down those little things and it becomes reality, like you said, Tina, then it's like, no, it's bigger. If you can already do that, then your car can be free as well. Your house can be paid for as well. You know what I mean? You just keep expanding on that. So the little goals to obtain the big goals.
They become the big goals, right? Like the belief increases with each little step, and then they become
10Xing. That's 10Xing, quite honestly. If you can do it once, you can do it again. And most of us, it is fear, right? We break things down. Why have many people not actually obtained living life on your own terms? It's fear. And we still face it every day. These are big, big goals It's a mountain of obstacles that I have to climb through. If we read the fine print, most of us would never sign up for it, which is why most of us don't. And for me, when I think back to the pinnacle of my life as an entrepreneur, my fine print would have read, I will have to work $1 an hour to obtain multiple six figures, right? In the end. And that's a big exchange. Most people won't work an entire year for $1 an hour in order to have multiple six figures, because it's like, are you kidding me? I mean, it's so much easier for me just to go to get a 9 to 5. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. Most won't trade that on the front end.
And it's too scary.
Yeah, they're too scared to take that risk, to take that jump. You know, like, I have my 9 to 5, and getting my license for this, or getting this, or starting this new business, or, you know, learning how to do this. It's too much work. It's too much this. But if you realize what you can do, and just give yourself that, just like Robert said, give yourself that extra hour a day to research, or to start your own business, or
there's so much you can do.
Something that you're passionate about. And that is the big thing. You have to be passionate. You cannot go to work, or not go to work, but have a business and be like, oh, like, I don't know about you guys, but I don't get up and be like, ugh.
Yeah. So I'll leave, I'm going to leave one big thing of advice. And then actually, I know Christina and a few others are going to add in. Christina has something coming up next month that will flash up so that she can tell you a little bit more about that. I just want to say this. If you're working a 9 to 5 and you're trying to figure out how to make this transition, I wish somebody would have showed me this in the earlier stages 30 years ago, right? But I had to learn the hard way. And so if I can get you there quicker, one last point that I'll just contribute is, if you have a passion or a purpose or anything, a talent or a skill set that you're really good at in your 9 to 5 or your life in general, maybe it's a hobby, maybe you're good at bowling, maybe you're good at, weaving. I don't know, but whatever it may be, know that you can start off by taking that talent, creating some very simple content around it, and then connecting with the right audience that's interested in whatever that skill set or talent is. That is the perfect way. If I had these tools at my, disposal many years ago, I would have taken all my skill set, dumped it into a community that is interested in my skill set, and sell it at a small price. And so that's a perfect way to kind of 10x your lifestyle. It could be something as simple as like an ebook that you sell for $10. Yeah. But the point of the matter is, you start out by selling 10 of those a week. It's an extra $100. You compound that to a community that's interested in really what you have to say, and they start paying you $100 for an ebook. At that same figure, it's $1,000 a week. It's huge. There's so many things that you could do. So take the current skill set and talent that you have, really think about how you can create some content around it so that you can actually inspire and teach others to do the same, and then monetize it.
And you know what? Christina has a amazing masterclass that's coming up. Live life.
It's free. I know.
I registered myself. I won't be there next week because I got the show. But
and like because I see what's going on out there, right? Like I see what's going on out in the world, and I'm like, I know that there sometimes needs to be encouragement. I know that it's easier when you learn from people that have gone before you. I wanted to create this because I see a massive shift, not only in the economy, but in human beings, right? And right now is a pivotal time where you get to decide, are you going to go this way and stay in the path that's safe and the path that has been given to you, or the path that you're in, right? Whether, that's your stable job and you're comfortable here and, you love your schedule or whatever, or are you sitting here and you're like, is this all there is? Like, is this really it for me? I've always dreamed of doing this or doing that. And those dreams are there for a reason. They're not there to die with you. They're there because their intent is to be fulfilled in this lifetime. And so I put together a 9-day free workshop, okay, where we're going to talk about, how society can shift their feelings, how you can shift your feelings and your perspective so that you realize, hey, this is how the masses think, but this is how wealthy people think. This is how they build business. This is what they do to create a life of freedom, right? Or I have $100,000 idea. This is how I'm going to produce it and create it in the next 365 days, right? So we're going to really get in there and help you with that, because I just think right now, either you do it or you don't. Right? You shit or get off the pot. That's what we're gonna do. Okay. And so I'm really excited to offer that. If you would like to join this free workshop, I'm more than happy to have you. I hope you get a ton out of it. I know you will. I've been working really hard on the content. I'm glad, Tina, that you'll be there. But I also feel really grateful that you guys allowed me to highlight that, because I know that with our audiences, again, with this abundant mindset, we're all going to be able to help people in a very unique way and recommend different programs and different workshops and different events for each other, which is so cool. Like, this is the cool thing about collaboration. And I've always believed in collaboration over competition. I think there's more than enough to go around, right? So if you are looking for a life change, if you've been dreaming, maybe you've been dreaming about living in Mexico or in Italy or in Argentina. Maybe you've been dreaming about starting your own business and not working that 9 to 5. Maybe you've been dreaming about spending more time with your kids and not having to worry if they have a sick day, what the heck you're going to do, right? Absolutely. And this is the perfect time for you to hop in and just start those wheels turning. Start to just shift your mindset a little bit in a way that you could move forward in this coming year. I'd also like to pass it over to Star, because I think that she could really elaborate on, creating something for your audience. Star has a massive following. She's got a massive group, and she's an expert at doing this. So, Star, I would love for you to add to what Robert said, if you don't mind. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I just think you're so brilliant when it comes to this.
Thank you. Yeah, I really wanted to point out the fact that some people are very dependent on their 9 to 5 income, because that I'm going to have X number of dollars coming in every single month. Yeah. But as an entrepreneur, you get to create recurring income, meaning that every month I'm going to wake up to X number of dollars, but then you get to make money on top of that. So as Christina said, I woke up to an additional $1,000 today that I did not specifically have a conversation with someone about. This is just like passive income for me, continuing to promote opportunities for people to buy different types of products and services that I have. Yeah. And this is the life that you want. You want to be able to say, okay, I am bringing in an extra 30K this month, or even 10K this month, but now I just brought in an extra 1,000 or an extra 2,000 or 3,000. Entrepreneurship allows you to continue to 10X that income. Your job will not be able to do that.
Yeah, you can't go to your job and be like, you know what, this month I need to make some more money, so can you give me some more hours? No.
I got fired for that.
No.
I literally got fired for that one time. I was working in a salon, and I started doing on-site weddings, because the salon didn't offer that. Yeah. And I went to my boss when a bride came in looking for me, and I said, hey, we need an on-site wedding team. I will manage that for you. And she's like, I have no interest in going into partnership with you. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to go crush it over here then.
Isn't that interesting in itself, that in a 9 to 5, if you want to achieve more in life, then they will deem you a competitor, right?
Yes.
They will deem
Isn't that interesting?
Somebody that's going to hurt their business. Yet we as entrepreneurs, we've learned that it's my job to create other leaders. Like, I want to see, I have clients that make more than me, and because of the efforts of my coaching. Yeah. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, sometimes I sit there and I'm like, now, how did I get them to do it and I can't do it, right? But the point of the matter is, it's brilliant, right? And it fills me with so much more motivation when I can say, this person used to make $60,000 at their job. They're now making $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 a year. And that's their income. That isn't, just a business revenue. That's their physical income that they're bringing into their home. And so, kudos. And I love that. That empowers me to keep doing the things that I'm doing on a regular basis.
That's beautiful.
I love it.
I thrive the most when my clients are making money and succeeding in their business. That's when I'm most excited.
It
right?
is.
And sometimes it is that first $1,000 they make, right? It doesn't have to be a big number.
And then they call you telling you, oh my gosh, guess what happened?
Exactly.
Well, it is the end of our hour. It goes by so fast.
It is.
I feel like we can talk about this for hours. But if you're watching the replay, let us know how you live life on your terms, what you do to live life on your terms. Join Christina in her masterclass. I'm going to be there. I know several other people are going to be there. I cannot wait because she has amazing stuff. She's been my accountability partner for a couple of months now, and just knowing that she's there, like when we're going through our stuff, you know, I can pick up the phone and be like, "What?" And she's like, "I'm back." And we were like, "Okay, now what are we gonna do?" So, you know, join her masterclass. Go live life on your terms. Live life on your terms, not anybody else's terms, the way you want to live life. And then join us next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. We will be back here on Uncensored Entrepreneurs. Until then.
And we are
Bye for now.
out. Bye, everyone. Have a great weekend coming up here.
Fellow entrepreneurs and risk takers,
Are you ready for a show where you'll hear real
Behind the scenes stories from real business owners.
Look no further. Uncensored Entrepreneurs.
the show where we bring you the real, raw, and unplugged version of entrepreneurship.
There's no sugarcoating, no filters, just the vulnerable truth about the ups and downs of running a business,
Being a parent, and how to move through all of those phases of your life while building something of significance.
From early mornings to late nights, from triumphs to setbacks, we cover it all.
So sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and get ready to hear the truth about what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur.
Welcome.
welcome,
Welcome to the Uncensored
entrepreneurs.